Hey everyone, welcome back or welcome if you are new. My name is Javier and I am a PhD student at Northwest University in Kirkland, Washington. I've just completed my second week in my program, so I wanted to make a video kind of talking about my first 2 weeks. I wanted to talk about a little bit of the highs, a couple of the lows of the first 2 weeks, what feel I have for the program, kind of what my thoughts about it are, the workload. So for those of you who are interested in kind of understanding what the workload is or knowing what the workload is, and also I wanted to talk about how I've managed or tried to have managed the balance of being like a full-time student and a full-time worker, as well as a full-time human, and then just what the next couple of weeks look like going forward. So first of all, some of the highs. So I finished the first 2 weeks. So the first week was supposed to be a residency week, where I was supposed to be traveling up to Kirkland, Washington to attend classes on campus. But the coronavirus and the pandemic put some changes to those plans. So what I had was an online residency, an intensive residency where I spent all morning doing class. So I was taking two classes. The first one was Advanced Leadership Theory, and the second one was Critical Inquiry. So my first class was from 8 in the morning till 12, and then I had an hour lunch, and then from 1 to 5 I had my second class. So essentially it was from 8 in the morning to 5 on Zoom. So it was a little bit interesting in that sense. So kind of one of the first highs was just completing the week. And that kind of a sense of accomplishment of like, I did it, I survived, I made it through. Meeting all of my cohort members was another thing. So we are scattered from all over the world. So we have some students that are coming from China, some students that are doing their studies from Mexico, from the East Coast, some that are located in Kirkland, Washington, some that go to Northwest University, work at Northwest University. So we just have a nice little balance of people. We've formed a Slack group and a Microsoft Teams group where we stay in communication. And we just really encourage each other, and they're all super awesome. So that's one of the major highs of that, was meeting all of these wonderful people that I get to study with. Another one of the highs was just understanding that this is something that's going to be possible. Kind of going in, I was a little apprehensive, a little scared, but after completing that first week, or completing these first 2 weeks, I really have kind of settled down and said, okay, I can do this. It is going to be tough, it is going to be challenging, but we are going to be able to get through this. And so it's kind of that sense of like, okay, I got this kind of thing. Some of the lows are, it was not fun being on Zoom for about 8 hours a day or so. The professors were really good about giving us breaks and kind of spicing it up, so we didn't have to just be staring at a screen all day. But that was definitely interesting. I had heard about Zoom fatigue, but I had never really experienced it, and it is really real. Another one of the lows was on the opposite hand of meeting all of these wonderful people in my program, not having the opportunity to like actually be in a classroom with them and actually get to meet them was a little bit sad. And the way we have it scheduled right now, we're tentatively hoping to be able to meet in January. So January is when the second residency is supposed to be scheduled. So cross your fingers that we're able to do that, that the world starts healing a little bit so that we can get that opportunity. So there's just a couple of the highs and the lows. 2 weeks in, I feel like I have a pretty good feel of what the program is going to be like. The professors are very knowledgeable. They do demand a lot of, not so much work, but they do challenge you to kind of think outside the box a little bit, and they're going to challenge you in a way that's going to make you better. So my first class is Advanced Leadership Theory. So we're talking about the application of various leadership theories in the context of not only where we work, but in the real world. So Dr. Thomas is the professor who teaches that class, and what he's done that I've really appreciated is kind of painted the coursework in the sense of making it applicable to our situations wherever we come from. So understanding that some of these theories that we're learning are going to work better in these kind of settings, where some of these theories are a little bit need a little bit further development, or these are fairly new. So I've really appreciated that. My second class is critical inquiry, so this is our first research class for our dissertation. And Dr. Don, as he liked to be called, he's our professor for this class, and he's very interesting. He is one of those people that will challenge you in ways that make you feel like, oh man, like this is going to be very difficult, or man, he's just out to get me. But I think like 3 years from now, when I hopefully start writing that dissertation, I'm going to be like, okay, thank you, Dr. Don, for all of that wonderful advice. So in critical inquiry, what we've done is just learn how to research, first and foremost, how to find peer-reviewed sources, how to analyze sources to make sure that they're credible, to gather the important information from articles, from journals, from all of these things, and how to take that information, kind of understand it, digest it, and how we can apply that to our future research. One of the things that I've enjoyed about this program so far is from the get-go, we've already kind of started planning what we're going to be writing our dissertation about. So it kind of makes the process a little bit less daunting to kind of have some sort of idea of what we're starting to. So we've kind of formulated a purpose statement. Obviously it's not going to be like the final one, but kind of getting an idea of that, and just doing research. And I think that's what the biggest difference is from this PhD program versus my master's program, is just the research is like 10 times the amount of research that I did in these first couple of weeks than I ever did in my master's program. So kind of getting a feel for what the program is. It demands a lot from you, but the things that you do now are setting you up to be more successful in the future, I believe. I think by learning how to do effective research now, when it comes time to writing that dissertation, I think it's just going to be a little bit easier for me. So it's just kind of a little bit of a feel about the program. The workload. So I have had a couple of questions about kind of what the workload is. So that first week that we had the online residency, the professors did a wonderful job of kind of mixing in a couple of reading assignments, kind of a little bit of discussion assignments. Nothing to kind of overwhelm you, because we were meeting for 8 hours plus on Zoom every day. They did a wonderful job of kind of just taking the important highlights of what the lectures were, and kind of channeling assignments that were reflective of those. So it was a lot of, hey, take a look at this video and see what this person has to say on this leadership theory, or take a look at this article and see how we can apply what the author was saying in the context of where we work. So that first week was just a lot of kind of reading, kind of analyzing, a lot of about thinking about what a specific leadership theory that we are focused on. So I was working on authentic leadership, was what I was assigned. So that first week I just spent all my time after class looking up sources on authentic leadership, theories, people who have worked in authentic leadership, and just kind of understanding some of the things that they've said, kind of digesting it, and kind of putting my own flair on it. For the critical inquiry class, our assignments so far have been about finding research. So we've located articles that we could potentially use in our dissertation process, and APA formatting. So we've been really hammering APA formatting, so how to do in-text citations as well as how to do references. And so the workload that first week was a little less because we had that online intensive residency. The second week focused more on putting some of that application, into real world practice. So for our advanced leadership theory, we had a book review. So we were given a list of a couple of books to choose from. So the book that I chose, and I don't know if you guys will be able to see it, is Peace, Reconciliation, and Social Justice Leadership in the 21st Century. And this book it's kind of an anthology of sorts, where the author, or the editor in this case, talks about various situations around the world where leaders and leadership theory has been applied in post-conflict societies. So how leadership has emerged as a result of something, of a sort of injustice that has happened in the world. So our task was to read this book, or read the book that we selected, and write an analysis on it. So I am not like the fastest reader in the entire world, so I was really grateful that I found it in an audiobook version. So I was not only listening to it, but I was reading along with it. So it took me about 3 days or so, 3-4 days to finish the book. It's 312 pages. So after that, I had about 5 or 6 days to write this paper. It was only 4 to 5 pages, so it was nothing too extensive, but we did have some questions that we did have to answer, and stuff. So overall, the workload has been enough to keep us busy in these couple of weeks, but not so much where you have like no moment where you can't like just have a day to relax. As long as you kind of stay on top of your work, or at least you're managing, doing what you need to do in a day, or segmenting your day, it is something that is very possible given the fact that you are a student, and also a worker if you're doing it. Which kind of brings me to the next point that I want to talk to you about, was about how I am trying to balance this. Obviously it's not a perfect thing, but so what I do is I work full-time. So for those of you who don't know, I do work full-time. So I work from 8 in the morning to about 4:30 in the afternoon. So what I do is I usually get up like around 6:30, 6:45, sometimes 7 if I snooze the alarm. But so what I do is I'll jump on to my computer and I'll check my school email. So first and foremost, I'll check that, and then I'll log on to our it's called our discovery site, is where we where all of my classes are laid out and all the assignments are located. And I kind of see, okay, this is what I have to do. I have to read this article, or I have to watch this video, or do this, and then I'll just make a little list and I'll put it down on my calendar. So I have my calendar here, and then every day I'll just do a little chunk of something, or I'll try to get a big piece of it done. And then once 8 o'clock hits, I turn off the the kind of the school stuff, and I'll get into my work stuff. Right now we're prepping for the beginning of the semester. I work at a university here locally, so we're kind of gearing up for the beginning of the semester and how to deal with all of the changes that are happening. And then once 4:30 hits, again I'll jump onto my computer and check our like Slack messaging, or our Teams, and see what my classmates are saying, what they're struggling with, or what they've kind of come up with. We'll start messaging each other, hey, I've gotten this done, or I've gotten this done. When it came to our like research analysis paper that we wrote on our book, a couple of classmates who selected the same book as I did, we started a Google Doc sheet where after we read a chapter, we kind of wrote a couple of notes in there. That way other people could look at it and kind of either add or use some of that information. So the balance has been, in the morning, focus on school, in the middle of the day, focus on work, and then after work, do a little bit of school. And then usually what I try to do is by like 9-10 o'clock, I usually try to, call it quits on the school stuff, unless, I'm reading or I'm into my chapter and I just want to finish it. And then after that, I just kind of find a moment to kind of relax, unwind, usually do something, watch a episode of my favorite TV show, or hop on my phone and watch a couple of YouTube videos, because I really like YouTube. So finding that balance is still kind of a work in progress, but I feel like as long as I maintain some sort of routine in this chaos, is what's been helpful for me. And the last thing that I would kind of want to talk to you about was just going forward. Going forward, we're not going to have so much of the kind of online interaction portions of it. So I believe in week 4 and like week 7, I think, because our classes are 11 weeks long. So week 4 and week 7, we'll have another Zoom meeting for an hour with our individual professors to kind of talk about what the assignments are going forward, how our research is progressing, so on and so forth. So going forward, it's going to be a lot more, up to you to be a little bit more disciplined about, checking, make sure that you're doing your work, make sure that you're staying on top of these things, make sure you are finding that motivation. Our professors are doing a really good job of being available to us, like on a virtual office hour. But going forward, I think this is what's going to be the more difficult part. Is for these next couple of weeks, I'm going to be kind of flying solo with no, necessarily no timeline or no expectation of, getting the work in at a certain time. Our next assignment is due, like, I believe mid-August. And so, just kind of finding that motivation and finding that discipline to stay on top of it, because we're not going to be meeting all the time. So that's just kind of what the plan going forward is. Overall, it's been wonderful to be studying and kind of, go full-hearted into this program. Some of those nerves that I had have gone away. A couple of different nerves have come up. Writing in APA is something that I'm used to and I'm familiar with, but APA has changed, and they do pay special emphasis on our citations and our references when we write stuff. So, just kind of getting back into the swing of things. But overall, I've really enjoyed it. Thank you guys for your continued support. Thank you for anyone who's reached out to me and had let me know that I'm, doing well and to keep going. Like, I really appreciate that. It really does mean a lot to me. So thank you guys, and thank you for taking the time to watch this video. I'm going to try to see if I can make a couple more of these. I really enjoy kind of just talking about school. It's a little bit of a kind of de-stressor, a little bit of therapy to be able to kind of talk about this and see where I'm going. And like I said, if any of you guys have questions about school, or how to get started, I'm always available to talk, and I would love to talk to you about that. I did make a previous video somewhere. It'll be somewhere down there, about why I decided to pursue a PhD. So if you haven't had a chance to take a look at that, take a look at that. But again, thank you so much for watching, and have a good day. Bye.